Clear your desk by the end of the day. The words on my screen pulsed like a live wire. I read them again, my fingers frozen over the keyboard. The email, no subject line, no greeting, was signed by Greg Carson, Nextech's COO and my direct supervisor. The man who'd patted my shoulder 3 days ago and said, "Family comes first." My office chair creaked as I leaned back. The morning sun sliced through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our San Francisco high-rise, glinting off the framed Top Performer awards lining my wall. Outside, the Bay Bridge stretched across glittering water, unchanged. The world kept moving. My phone buzzed. A text from David. "Did you make it to the office okay?" I couldn't answer. 3 days. That's all I'd taken. 72 hours to sit beside my husband's hospital bed after his car hydroplaned on the Bay Bridge ramp. To hold his hand while the surgeons reset his fractured femur. To assure our 7-year-old that Daddy would be okay. And now this. I tapped print, watching the termination email slither out of the communal printer down the hall. Let Greg explain this to HR when they found it. Flashback. 72 hours earlier, Miller, my office. Greg's voice carried across the open floor plan. I'd been mid-sentence in a campaign strategy meeting when my phone lit up with the hospital's caller ID. The team saw my face strain. Emily, my lead strategist, mouthed, "Go!" Greg's corner office smelled like overpriced sandalwood diffusers and ambition. He didn't look up from his monitor. "The Aurora tech proposal is due." My husband was in an accident. The words came out robotic. "They're taking him into surgery." A pause. Then the Greg Carson special. A performative sigh followed by hollow concern. "Christ, Sarah. Of course go. Family comes first." He even stood to walk me out, lowering his voice. "Take whatever time you need." The lie tasted like pennies in my mouth. Present day. "Hey, you're back early." Emily appeared in my doorway, 2 oat milk lattes in hand. Our Tuesday ritual. She froze when she saw the open box on my desk. "What's happening?" I turned my screen toward her, watched her freckled face cycle through confusion, disbelief, then white-hot rage. "That mother—" Language, Em. I pried the doomed latte from her death grip before she crushed it. We both know Greg's been gunning for this since I vetoed his frat bro ad campaign. But the Aurora deal, the Q2 numbers, you can't just— Apparently I can. I yanked the photo of David and our daughter, Sophie, off my desk. The glass cracked under my trembling fingers. Down the hall, Greg's laughter boomed from the conference room. The sound wrapped around my ribs like barbed wire. Emily grabbed my wrist. "The team needs to know." "Not yet." I stuffed files into the box. Client contacts encrypted on my personal drive months ago. Notes written in a shorthand only I understood. Let him realize what he's done first. My phone buzzed again. David, this time with a photo. Sophie grinning beside his hospital bed, holding a crayoned "Welcome Home" sign. The bandages on his leg were fresh. 3 days. That's all it took to unravel 5 years of loyalty. I took a photo of the termination email, forwarded it to my personal account. Then I stood, smoothing my blazer like armor. "Where are you going?" Emily whispered. "To teach Greg Carson the cost of those 3 days." The next morning, my phone was already buzzing by 7 a.m. I hadn't told anyone yet. Not officially. But rumors fly fast in a glass tower. Emily's name flashed on the screen. "Have you seen Slack?" Her voice was sharp with disbelief. I sat up in bed, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. David was snoring lightly beside me, his leg propped up in the hospital-issued brace. "What happened?" "Everyone knows." Greg didn't even try to hide it. "There's an announcement. Leadership restructuring. They deleted your profile from the company site. Like you were never there." I closed my eyes, biting back the sting. "And people are pissed, Sarah," she continued. "I mean furious. Jacob almost punched a hole in the design wall." I smiled faintly. That sounds like him. "Clients are already asking where you are." We're scrambling. No one knows your passwords. Your project notes are in that crazy color-coded shorthand only you can read. Exactly how I planned it, I murmured. Emily paused. This is bad. Really bad. You need to see what people are posting on the team chat. Hold on. Sending screenshots. Within seconds, my inbox filled with photos of irate Slack threads, angry side conversations, even a screenshot of the Aurora tech rep asking, bluntly, "Why isn't Sarah on this call?" No one had answers. I didn't reply to Emily. I didn't need to. Instead, I got up, poured coffee into my campaign killer mug, and opened LinkedIn. I rewrote my title. Former head of marketing at Next Tech Solutions, builder of teams, breaker of ceilings. Looking for what's next? Within 20 minutes, my DMs were full. By noon, I'd gotten 4 requests for meetings. But it was the call from Olivia Chen that changed everything. I heard what happened. Olivia's voice was cool silk, as always. She'd been trying to recruit me for months. The founder of Starlight Digital. Sharp, visionary, and famously ruthless when it came to poaching talent. Greg Carson's lost his mind. I laughed, but there was no joy in it. It's corporate. They don't need a mind, just a spreadsheet. She didn't miss a beat. Come work with us. Head of marketing. You'll have full autonomy, double your current salary. You pick your team. My heart stopped. Olivia, I have a non-compete. You did, but my lawyers reviewed your contract. They terminated you without cause. That clause won't hold, and I'll back you if they try. For the first time in days, I felt something new bloom in my chest. Hope, mixed with vengeance. I'll think about it, I said, already knowing my answer. The next day, Emily showed up at my doorstep with 2 coffees and red-rimmed eyes. I can't do it anymore, she said simply. None of us can. Us? Jacob, Tessa, Luis, even Ben from analytics. They're done. They want out. I blinked. That's half the department. More like the whole engine, she replied. Without you, it's falling apart. I don't want anyone burning bridges because of me. She laughed bitterly. They already lit the match, Sarah. We're just choosing where to walk once the smoke clears. I didn't tell her about Olivia's offer right away. I needed time. I needed to be sure. But as I watched Emily cry into her latte, I knew I wasn't the only one betrayed. This wasn't just about me. It never had been. 2 days later, I accepted Olivia's offer. And one by one, my team followed me to Starlight Digital. They didn't do it for revenge. They did it because we believed in something better. Because in every late-night brainstorm, every urgent weekend sprint, every pitch deck perfected at midnight, we'd built more than marketing strategies. We'd built each other. The corporate world thought it could discard people like me, like us, with a single cold email. But it forgot one thing. We remember everything. Back at Next Tech, the implosion was swift. Aurora Tech canceled the contract. They cited loss of key personnel. 2 other clients followed. Revenue tanked. I heard Greg had a meltdown during an all-hands meeting, demanding loyalty from a room full of silent, resentful faces. HR scrambled to contain the chaos, offering retention bonuses no one accepted. And the best part? I didn't have to do a thing. The truth burned on its own. At Starlight, we rebuilt. Faster, smarter, freer. I got to design our first campaign pitch from scratch. No budget constraints, no corporate red tape, just raw, bold storytelling. Our team clicked like a symphony. Emily found her voice again. Jacob designed graphics that made industry blogs take notice. Ben's analytics drove our growth like rocket fuel. And me? I felt like myself again. Not Sarah the scapegoat. Not Sarah the loyal employee. Just Sarah, builder of empires. One afternoon, weeks later, I got a call. It was Linda from Next Tech's HR. Hi, Sarah. I hope you're doing well. We've had time to reflect and, well, we wanted to make things right. The board has approved a reinstatement offer, with a significant salary increase. You'd be returning as vice president of strategy. I nearly laughed. I appreciate the call, Linda, I said evenly. But you made your priorities clear. We were under pressure. Greg, he's been let go. We realize we mishandled. It's not about money. I cut her off. It's about what you thought my family was worth. There was silence. Then, quietly, if you ever change your mind. But I wouldn't, because I had. I'd changed my mind about what I deserved. And now I was finally getting it. The sun had just dipped below the skyline, throwing amber light across our living room windows. David was asleep on the couch, a soft blanket draped over his leg brace. Our daughter Sophie curled up next to him, clutching a half-finished drawing of our family. Crayons were scattered across the coffee table. The quiet hum of evening felt like a fragile kind of peace. My phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Same number. Something in my gut told me to answer. Hello? Sarah? A familiar voice said, smooth and unmistakably self-assured. It's Olivia Chen. I blinked. Olivia? From Starlight Digital. She finished for me. Yes, I heard about Next Tech. I'm sorry. That was brutal. I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. But, she continued, and I could hear the sharp click of her heels against marble or tile, the crispness of motion behind her words. Their loss is my opportunity. I chuckled, despite myself. You don't waste time. Neither do you, she replied, which is why I'm calling. I want you to join Starlight. Head of marketing. You'll have a blank canvas, full authority, and let's be clear, a salary twice what you were getting at Next Tech. The silence on my end stretched. Olivia, I hesitated. That's a lot to take in. It is, she agreed, but not unexpected. We've been watching you for a while. The Aurora campaign alone? Genius. And let's not forget your pivot during the haptic launch. You've been watching me? We all have, she said simply. The industry noticed you long before Greg decided to pretend you were disposable. I looked at David and Sophie, still sleeping soundly. My throat tightened. I have a non-compete, I said softly. 12 months, signed when I got promoted last year. Olivia didn't miss a beat. Already reviewed it. Our legal team went over the terms this afternoon. My heart skipped. This afternoon? She ignored the question. You were terminated without cause. That voids the clause. It's unenforceable. You're free, Sarah. Completely. The word free settled into my chest like warm light. Still, a small part of me clung to caution. You don't think they'll come after me? Let them try, she said. I've taken on bigger boys than Next Tech, and won. There was a quiet confidence in her tone that made my spine straighten. I stepped out onto the balcony, letting the cool night air fill my lungs. Why now? I asked. Why are you so sure I'm worth this risk? Because I don't hire resumes, Olivia said. I hire fire. And Sarah, you've been burning brighter than anyone else in this field for years. I don't want someone safe. I want someone dangerous, someone with something to prove. A laugh burst from my lips, caught between disbelief and relief. Dangerous. No one had ever called me that. Give me 24 hours, I said. You've got 12, she replied. The world doesn't wait, but I do hope you say yes. The line clicked off before I could respond. That night, I didn't sleep. Not from anxiety, but from possibility. I paced the kitchen, sipping stale tea, rereading the non-compete agreement, texting a lawyer friend from Stanford I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. He confirmed everything Olivia had said. She's right, he wrote. They terminated you unilaterally. The clause doesn't hold. I stared at the email, then at the empty apartment. The place that had been my sanctuary during every campaign crunch, every client disaster, every 2 a.m. brainstorm. And now it could be the launch pad for something new. Something mine. At 7 a.m., I called Olivia back. Good morning, she answered on the first ring. I'm in, I said. There was a pause. Then, I'll have HR send the onboarding paperwork. We'll announce this in 48 hours. She hung up without another word. I smiled. Typical Olivia. I stood in the kitchen, still in my robe, as the sun poured in through the windows. My old life was gone, sealed in a cardboard box on a shelf in a corporate mailroom. But for the first time, I didn't feel grief. I felt momentum. Later that day, I texted Emily. Lunch? Big update. We met at our usual cafe, the one 3 blocks from the old office where we'd once planned entire campaigns on napkins between cappuccinos. She slid into the booth, face drawn. They just replaced you with some junior guy from sales. No marketing background. Clients are livid. I didn't let it land. Not today. I have news, I said. I'm joining Starlight as their new head of marketing. Emily's eyes widened. You're kidding. I shook my head. Double the pay. Total autonomy. Olivia wants to build something real. She exhaled, setting down her cup. Wow, that's huge. You could come too, I said gently, when the time's right. She didn't hesitate. When do we start? My throat caught. You're serious? I'm in, she said firmly. Greg threw away the best leader we ever had. I'm not wasting another minute under someone who thinks loyalty is weakness. We clinked coffee mugs in silent agreement. That night, Olivia sent a single text. The future doesn't wait, Sarah. Let's build it. I stared at those words for a long time. And then I opened my laptop, started a new folder, and titled it Rebirth. Because this wasn't just a new job. It was a new version of me. Not the good soldier. Not the workaholic. Not the safe bet. This was Sarah, reborn. It started on a Wednesday. The kind of gray, soggy San Francisco morning that makes coffee taste stronger and people walk a little faster. I was standing in the glass-walled conference room at Starlight Digital, pitching a rebrand for a green tech startup when my phone buzzed. Again. And again. By the 5th notification, I checked it. Emily. I just handed in my resignation. Jacob. I'm out. They didn't even ask why. Just said, thanks for your service. Ben. Tell Olivia I'm ready. Analytics doesn't mean a thing without insight, and I'm tired of making numbers dance for idiots. I stared at the screen. It was happening. I didn't ask them to do it. I'd warned them more than once that burning bridges wasn't required, that they could stay and try to salvage what remained of the team we built. But they knew what I knew. The heart was already gone. So they walked. By the end of the day, 5 resignations had landed on Greg Carson's desk. Emily, Jacob, Tessa from copy, Luis from brand strategy, Ben from analytics. 5 pillars. The people who didn't just do their jobs, they made campaigns sing. They could brainstorm brilliance over bagels and rewrite an entire launch plan over dinner if needed. Now they were gone. And Greg? He panicked. Are you hearing this? Olivia asked, half laughing as she tossed me her phone. The headline was already spreading across LinkedIn. Nextech suffers key talent exodus amid leadership shift. I scrolled through the post. An anonymous insider had leaked that multiple clients had flagged project delays. One had requested an immediate replacement for Sarah Miller or We Walk. That client? Aurora Tech. The crown jewel, I didn't cheer, not out loud. But inside, something steady and cold clicked into place. Validation. Greg called Emily. She didn't answer. He called Jacob. Jacob answered, and put him on speaker for the team to hear. I'm sorry to hear you're leaving. Greg's voice drawled, clearly rehearsed. If this is about the reorganization, it's being corrected. We're open to counteroffers. Jacob didn't flinch. You fired the best leader we ever had. Without notice. During a family crisis. We're not interested in more money, Greg. We're interested in decency. Silence. Then Greg's mask cracked. You're making a mistake. Loyalty matters here. Apparently only until the quarterly numbers shift, Jacob said. Then he hung up. The room at Starlight erupted. We welcomed them the next day. Olivia insisted on doing it right. No beige HR briefings. No onboarding videos. She walked into the open office with boxed pastries, fresh espresso, and a short toast. To those brave enough to leave a broken system, she said, raising her cup, and wise enough to build something better. We cheered, loudly. I looked around at these people. My people. Still carrying trauma from the betrayal, but also carrying fire. We didn't need permission anymore. We had purpose. By Friday, Nextech was bleeding. Aurora Tech terminated their contract. A second client, Viridian Robotics, froze their Q3 renewal. Internally, Slack channels turned toxic. Half the department was gone, and the replacements were junior hires with no real onboarding. Projects lagged, deadlines passed like ghost ships. Greg? He started blaming everyone. HR, the board. Insubordinate staff. Rumor had it he screamed during an executive call and threatened to fire anyone who questioned him. Linda from HR texted me a single line that night. You burned the house down without striking a single match. I didn't reply. Because I hadn't. They had. I'd just left the door open so the smoke could escape. That weekend, we held our first full team off-site at Starlight. It was nothing fancy. Just a rented lake house 2 hours north. No decks, no metrics. Just fire pits, strategy games, and late-night talks. At one point, I walked out to the dock with Emily, our feet dangling over the edge. I never thought I'd leave, she said softly. Not Nextech. That place felt like home. It did, I agreed, until they made it clear we were just tenants. She nodded. But here, this feels like something we own. I didn't answer right away. I just smiled. Because she was right. On Monday, I got another email from Linda. Subject: request for meeting. She didn't say much, just that the board wanted to talk. They were reevaluating leadership structure and open to new conversations. Translation: Greg was on thin ice and they wanted me to consider coming back. I deleted it. That night, Sophie crawled into my lap with her crayons and asked, Are you still sad about the bad boss? I kissed the top of her head. Not anymore. Because now you're the boss? I smiled. Because now I'm the one who gets to choose who matters. She nodded, serious and wise for 7. That's better. Yeah, it was. It didn't happen overnight. But within a month of our team walking out, Starlight Digital won 3 massive accounts. One of them was Aurora Tech, the same client I had shepherded for 3 years at Nextech, the one Greg tried to hand off to a junior strategist who didn't even know the difference between CTR and CPC. They called me directly. Look, their COO said, we don't do chaos. We do continuity. You and your team are the only ones we trust. That contract alone was worth 7 figures. The other 2 wins came through referrals, through whispers in private group chats and industry panels where someone would lean in and say, Hey, what's Sarah Miller building over there? It was wildfire. Slow at first, then absolutely unstoppable. Meanwhile, Nextech began to rot from the inside. Deadlines missed. Clients walked. Their Q2 numbers dropped 40%. It was poetic, really. But it was also sad. I watched from a distance as the empire I had helped build crumbled, an empire I gave 5 years of my life to. But in the end, they'd gutted it with their own arrogance. Then came the headline in TechWatch Weekly, Nextech ousts COO after disastrous quarter. I didn't need to click to know the name. Greg Carson, fired, disgraced, swept out the same way he tried to sweep me. Linda, the HR director, reached out 2 days later. Her email was overly warm, too carefully worded, like someone trying to glue together broken glass and pretend it was new. Sarah, the board recognizes your leadership was a critical asset to Nextech's success. We believe we made a mistake. If you're open to returning, name your terms. Title, compensation, team. We're ready to talk. I stared at the screen, blinking once, slowly, and then I replied with a single sentence. This was never about money. She responded within minutes. Then what was it about? I picked up the phone. No need for emails anymore. When Linda answered, I didn't let her fill the space with small talk. You made my family an inconvenience, I said. That's what this was about. You didn't just fire a manager. You told every woman in that office that if their husband lands in a hospital, they better keep their Slack status green. She was quiet. Good, I continued. You chose to stand by a man who pretended to care. You let him strip my name off the wall, delete my profile, and push forward like I was replaceable. And now that your bottom line is bleeding, you want to talk about value? We didn't realize, she began. No, I said. You did. You just didn't think there would be consequences. Another long pause. We're changing, she said finally. The board is listening now. Good, I said, calm and cold. Then you'll understand why I'm not coming back. I'm building something better, and I already did it without you. Then I hung up. I turned off my notifications for the rest of the day. And for the first time in weeks, I closed my laptop and just sat on the balcony with David and Sophie, listening to the wind off the bay. We didn't talk about work. We didn't need to. I was exactly where I was meant to be. A year later, Starlight Digital was the top name in the industry. We weren't just winning. We were leading. Clients sought us out. Talent begged to join. Awards rolled in like tidewater. And me? I was promoted to Vice President of Strategy and Growth. My team, Emily, Jacob, Ben, all of them, thrived. They won accolades, bonuses, actual vacations. Their loyalty had never been about contracts. It had always been about trust. One morning, I opened the business section of the San Francisco Chronicle and nearly laughed. There he was. Greg Carson, hair thinner, smile forced. The caption, former COO of Nextech seeks new opportunities. No takers. I folded the paper, took a sip of my espresso, and turned back to the floor-to-ceiling window in my corner office. The city glittered below. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It doesn't scream or throw punches. Sometimes it just looks like peace, and success, and freedom. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well.